Hi there, how are you doing? I'm Professor Paulo Lúcio and I'm so happy to be your English teacher. It's great to be here talking to you about the contents of the fourth quarter of grade 9. Let's start the fun! No quarto bimestre, nós vamos trabalhar com contos. E existem dois tipos de contos. Os tales, que podem ser até contos de fadas e são histórias imaginativas com seres fantasiosos, mágicas, mundos distantes, e os short stories, que são os contos literários, contando um pedacinho da vida de alguém. Eu vou contar aqui para você dois contos, e os dois vão ser do primeiro tipo, ou seja, eles envolvem bastante imaginação. Você vai ouvir com bastante atenção, ler a legenda em inglês para saber o que é que eu estou falando e entender cada história através das imagens que vão aparecer e dos gestos que eu vou fazer. Fique ligado, hein? The Frog Prince. One fine evening, a young princess put on her bonnet and clogs and went out to take a walk by herself in a wood. And when she came to a cool spring of water with a rose in the middle of it, she sat herself down to rest a while. Now, she had a golden ball in her hand, which was her favorite plaything, and she was always tossing it up into the air and catching it again as it fell. After a time, she threw it up so high that she missed catching it. And the ball bounced away and rolled along the ground until at last it fell into the spring. The princess looked into the spring after the ball, but it was very deep, so deep that she couldn't see the bottom of it. She began to cry and said, "Alas! If I could only get my ball back again, I would give all my fine clothes and jewel and everything that I have in the world." While she was speaking, a frog put his head out of the water and said, "Princess, why do you weep so bitterly?" "Alas," said she, "what can you do for me, you nasty frog? My golden ball has fallen into the spring." The frog said, "I do not want your pearls and jewels and fine clothes, but if you will love me and let me live with you and eat from off your golden plate and sleep on your bed, I will bring you your ball again." "What nonsense!" thought the princess. "This silly frog is talking. He can never even get out of the spring to visit me, though he may be able to get my ball for me, and therefore I will tell him he shall have what he asks." So she said to the frog, "Well, if you bring me my ball, I will do all you ask." Then the frog put his head down and dived deep under the water, and after a while he came up again with the ball in his mouth and threw it on the edge of the spring. As soon as the young princess saw her ball, she ran to pick it up. And she was so overjoyed to have it in her hand again that she never thought of the frog, but ran home with it as fast as she could. The frog called after her, "Stay, princess, and take me with you, as you said." But she did not stop to hear a word. The next day, just as the princess had sat down to dinner, she heard a strange noise. Tap, tap, plash, plash, as if something was coming up the marble staircase. Soon afterwards, there was a gentle knock at the door, and a little voice cried out and said, "Open the door, my princess dear, open the door to thy true love here, and mind the words that thou and I said, by the fountain cool in the greenwood shade." Then the princess ran to the door and opened it, and there she saw the frog, whom she had quite forgotten. At the sight, she was sadly frightened, and shutting the door as fast as she could, she came back to her seat. The king, her father, seeing that something had frightened her, asked her what the matter was. "There is a nasty frog," said she, "at the door that lifted my ball for me out of the spring this morning. I told him he should live with me here, thinking that he could never get out of the spring. But there he is at the door and wants to come in." While she was speaking, the frog knocked again at the door and said, "Open the door, my princess dear. Open the door to thy true love here, and mind the words that thou and I said by the fountain cool in the greenwood shade." Then the king said to the young princess, "As you have given your word, you must keep it. So go and let him in." She did so, and the frog hopped into the room, and then straight on, tap, tap, plash, plash, from the bottom of the room to the top, till he came up close to the table where the princess sat. "Pray lift me upon a chair," said he to the princess, "and let me sit next to you." As soon as she had done this, the frog said, "Put your plate nearer to me, that I may eat out of it." This she did, and when he had eaten as much as he could, he said, "Now I am tired. Carry me upstairs and put me in your bed." And the princess, though very unwillingly, took him up in her hand and put him upon the pillow of her own bed, where he slept all night long. As soon as it was light, the frog jumped up, hopped downstairs, and went out of the house. "Now then," thought the princess, "at last he's gone, and I shall be troubled with him no more." But she was mistaken, for when night came again, she heard the same tapping at the door, and the frog came once more and said, "Open the door, my princess dear. Open the door to thy true love here, and mind the words that thou and I said by the fountain cool in the greenwood shade." And when the princess opened the door, the frog came in and slept upon her pillow as before till the morning broke. And the third night he did the same. But when the princess awoke the following morning, she was astonished to see, instead of the frog, a handsome prince gazing on her with the most beautiful eyes she had ever seen, and standing at the head of her bed. He told her that he had been enchanted by a spiteful fairy who had changed him into a frog. And then he had been fated to abide till some princess should take him out of the spring and let him eat from her plate and sleep upon her bed for 3 nights. "You," said the prince, "have broken this cruel charm, and now I have nothing to wish for but that you should go with me into my father's kingdom, where I will marry you and love you as long as you live." The young princess, you may be sure, was not long in saying yes to all this, and as they spoke, a brightly colored coach drove up with 8 beautiful horses decked with plumes of feathers and a golden harness. And behind the coach rode the prince's servant, faithful Heinrich, who had bewailed the misfortunes of his dear master during his enchantment so long and so bitterly that his heart had burst. They then took leave of the king and got into the coach with 8 horses, and all set out, full of joy and merriment, for the prince's kingdom, which they reached safely. And there they lived happily a great many years. Espero que você tenha entendido o conto sobre o sapo que resgatou a bola de ouro da princesa e, em troca, foi morar com ela no castelo, comer do prato dela e dormir no travesseiro dela para quebrar o feitiço de uma bruxa e se transformar de novo em príncipe. Há várias atividades no caderno de orientações de estudo para fazer sobre esse conto. Você pode também voltar esse vídeo e assistir quantas vezes quiser. Pode até ler o conto junto comigo, em voz alta. Tenho certeza que isso vai ajudar você a melhorar muito o seu inglês. Bom, eu vou contar então um outro conto. Ele é mais curto, mas ele tem uma história bem divertida. É de um jumento que tinha ciúmes do jeito que o seu dono tratava o cachorro, dando muitas regalias a ele, enquanto o jumento só trabalhava. Você vai ver a loucura que o jumento fez e como isso foi acabar. Pay attention! The little dog and the donkey. A man had a little dog, and he was very fond of it. He would pat its head and take it on his knee and talk to it. Then he would give it little bits of food from his own plate. A donkey looked in at the window and saw the man and the dog. "Why does he not make a pet of me?" said the donkey. "It is not fair. I work hard and the dog only wags its tail and barks and jumps on its master's knee. It is not fair." Then the donkey said to himself, "If I do what the dog does, he may make a pet of me." So the donkey ran into the room. It brayed as loud as it could. It wagged its tail so hard that it knocked over a jar on the table. Then it tried to jump onto its master's knee. The master thought the donkey was mad and he shouted, "Help! Help!" Men came running in with sticks and they beat the donkey till it ran out of the house and they drove it back to the field. "I only did what the dog does," said the donkey. "And yet they make a pet of the dog and beat me with sticks. It is not fair." I hope you've enjoyed to know that it is possible to understand tales listening to someone's gestures and images. In your study guide, you'll find more explanations and exercises that will help you understand these tales better. You may rewatch this video as many times as you want to practice English. Remember the importance of English in your life. Bye!